2026. And we'll start off with a roll call. Madam City Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor Hagan. Councillor Bieber? Here. Councillor Campbell?
Here.
Councillor Dodick?
Here.
Councillor Doria?
Present.
Councillor Parker? Councillor Wolf? Here. Acting Mayor Croson?
Present.
Deputy Mayor Schmidt-Rempel?
Here.
And Mayor Hagan.
Present.
All accounted for. Thank you.
The City of Lethbridge acknowledges that we're gathering on the lands of the Blackfoot people of the Canadian Plains and pays respect to the Blackfoot people past, present, and future while recognizing and respecting their cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationships to the land. The City of Lethbridge offers respect to the Métis and all who have lived on this land and call Lethbridge their home. Start off with recognitions. To my far right, Councillor Bieber.
Club of Lethbridge, or the Rotary Club of Lethbridge, has just initiated a new progressive raffle to help raise support for the Bringing Hearts Home campaign. They're selling tickets $5 for 3 of them, and they're asking for everybody's support to help this campaign. And I know the Rotary Club does fantastic work, so I hope we can all give those guys a helping hand, and kudos to them for doing this.
Thank you. Councillor Croson.
Thank you, Mayor Hagan. On the 9th of January, I represented City Council at the Stars Home Lottery House launch. The house is called the Brock James and is named after Brock James Higginson. The Stars Lottery is open right now, and it's right the house, if you want to go see it, is at 684 Devonia Road West. We've also had some really big anniversaries for some of our local organizations. Southern Alberta Art Gallery, of course, turned 50 on the 12th of January. Yesterday, Winston Churchill High School turned 65, and tomorrow, the 21st of January, will be the 65th anniversary of the first public concert ever by the Lethbridge Symphony. So they're having some huge anniversaries this year. And I'm hoping everybody will mark February 4th on their calendars. First, it's the Read Aloud Day, and I know some of my colleagues are also going to schools that day to read aloud to students. But it's also Winter Walk Day. And I know there are some communities out there who may be challenging us to see if we can get more of our residents out walking. You can register for Winter Walk Day, and let's see how many minutes we can get across our community out on that February 4th. So please register, and let's see if we can't get more people in Lethbridge out than any other community in Southern Alberta. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Croson. Councillor Doria.
Thank you. So I am very grateful for the continued facilitation of orientation for council members. The information shared with us provided us and equipped us with a range of useful tools in planning and budgeting decisions for the City of Lethbridge. Other thing is the municipal dinner that we attended also provided an excellent opportunity to meet and engage with council members from the Lethbridge County. That's all for me.
Thank you, Councillor Doria. Councillor Parker.
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Councillor Dodick? No. All right. Councillor Campbell.
Thank you. Yeah, just to add on to what Councillor Croson said, I just think it's a really great tradition that Van Arbor Homes does with their Stars Lottery. Every year when they build the home, they name it after someone whose life was saved by Stars Air Ambulance. And Brock Higginson, as you mentioned, was one of these former principal of Agnes Davidson School whose life was saved. So that's just a great tradition. So congratulations to Van Arbor for always doing that every year and kind of really acknowledging people. Also, this is incredible news, I think. The under 13 AAA Hurricanes have been accepted to the prestigious International Pee Wee Hockey Tournament in Quebec City on February the 11th to the 22nd, which is, they come from that's literally all over the world. So congratulations to Coach Dino Caputo and his people and all the kids who are, I'm sure, getting very excited about heading out to Quebec City, and they play in the big rink out there too. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Wolf.
Yes, I just want to recognize the Southern Alberta Art Gallery for their 50th anniversary. That was nice to be there and to see a great turnout from the community, and we appreciate what they do in the community as far as the arts are concerned. We were privileged to go to dinner with our counterparts at the county, and I thought that was a very generous, kind gesture from them, and I thought it was a great opportunity to get to know them and the good people they have working for them there and partners that we are to them and with them. Also, very briefly, it was great to attend the LCI Green and Gold basketball tournament. And the only reason I mention this is it's just always impressive to see the level of volunteerism from the staff at the school to the coaches to everybody that participates. And it was really, really well attended and a great event.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Wolf. Deputy Mayor Schmidt-Rempel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. A thank you to Westco Construction for hosting the Westco Cares Winter Lights Night at Nikki-Yuko Japanese Garden. That was last week. It was a great event, and it gave me the opportunity to catch up with our friends at Westco Construction, as well as our friends from the town of Colehurst, who I bumped into there. I would also ask the community to mark the calendar for February 13th, a fundraising concert for local food banks called If Music Be the Food of Love. It features performances by the University of Lethbridge singers, soloists, Aurora Choral, and special musical guest John Ward Hannum. Entrance is by donation, and again, that's at Southminster United Church, February 13th, 7:30 p.m. Proceeds go to Lethbridge Food Bank, Interfaith Food Bank, and the University of Lethbridge's Students Association program for supporting students getting fed. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Boy, everything is kind of, I think, went through. I do want to just wish everyone a happy new year. I know it's the first meeting back since the holidays, and so just want to wish everyone a happy new year. It's going to be a great 2026. And just one thing I wanted to throw out there is our neighbors to the east have struggled with an explosion in their rink, and so of course they found other rinks around the area, and the southern Alberta and central, to be quite honest, has been amazing with the support and stuff for helping them to be able to continue a lot of the programs that they have there. But the reason I bring this up is because they've been nominated now for the Kraft Hockeyville. Now, it's a pretty prestigious thing to win, but I think the story is definitely something that is go on and help support our neighbor to the east in Tabor for Kraft Hockeyville if you have that opportunity. We'll move on to the adoption of the agenda. From Acting Mayor Crowson, be it resolved the agenda of the regular meeting of City Council on January 20th, 2026 be adopted as presented. Are there any changes, Madam City Clerk?
Yes, Mayor Hagan, we have one addition to today's agenda, and it's from yourself. It's a verbal item entitled Request for Changes to the Federal Government's Bail System Legislation, and it will become item 5.1 under presentations.
All right, and also to one, if I could with council, I would like to add one to closed. And we'll go with infrastructure. So a letter, yeah, and we will, and that's just an addition to closed, if we could. And if that's okay with my colleagues? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Schmidt-Rempel.
Just in looking at the confidential reports, 14.2 doesn't have the ATIA section reference on it, and it's my understanding that those should be included on those confidential reports.
I'd have to look into it right now, but it should be on the report. If not, we'll add it. We'll
Okay.
get that. But it
Yeah.
would be for sure advice from officials.
Okay, yeah, no, I just noticed it wasn't included on the agenda, so,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
All right, with those two changes, turn it over to Acting Mayor Crowson for the adoption.
I thank Mr. Westerson for already making the change on the motion online. So we will be adopting this as amended, and I'll call the question.
Question has been called. All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. And the consent agenda. Be it resolved that the minutes of the following meetings of City Council be approved and the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign the same. From December 16th, 2025, further be resolved that City Council receive for information the status of directed resolutions for January 20th, 2026. Further be resolved the City Council provide first reading to the bylaw 4.3, bylaw 6518, procedure bylaw amendment. Deputy Mayor Schmidt-Rempel.
Thank you very much. Do any of my colleagues have any questions with regards to this or changes?
I see no questions.
Okay, and then just a reminder, bylaw 6518, the procedure bylaw, that will be back at council for discussion and debate, second and third readings on February 10th. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, call for the vote. All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. All right, the next one is what was just brought up here just a few minutes ago, addition to request for change to federal government's bail system legislation. As many are aware of what's happened and the impacts that happened here in the past, I guess it's about a week and a half ago, with an individual that was released back onto the street and reapprehended, and which caused some concern in many calls and emails that I received regarding safety in the community because of that particular situation that happened. And so with that, I've asked, and I was going to put in a notice of motion. This is why it was brought forward today. Put it off another 2 weeks. I'd just like to be able to address this as quickly as possible. So if that's some of the context, and I'll read what it is, and I think we'll probably put it up on the screen there. It says, whereas the City of Lethbridge recently experienced the impacts of a high-profile incident in the community as a result of a flawed federal bail system that puts criminals back on the streets, risking the safety of the public. Now therefore be it resolved that Council authorize the Mayor to write a letter to the Honourable Sean Fraser, Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada, that advocates and supports the Alberta provincial government's position to enhance and prioritize public safety, increase accountability, and address specific crime trends by accelerating bail reform, Bill C-14, the Bail and Sentencing Reform Act, introduced in late 2025, which aims to increase public safety by making bail harder to get for a variety of crimes by imposing reverse onus expansion, stricter bail conditions, new bail considerations, and tougher sentencing. So if there's any, open up to any questions. Councillor Dodick?
Question is to the city solicitor. The first, the first whereas talks about flawed federal bail system. So the way bail works is that the judge is required to look at whether the individual before them is likely to reoffend. And the second part is whether the individual is likely to show up in court. So the reason I'm only mentioning that is that it is the judge hearing the bail application that makes the decision. So just so you, to ensure that people know that it's not necessarily the prosecutors or the police, it is the judge that makes that decision.
And if I could, thank you for bringing that up, Councillor Dodick, because that was one of the main reasons for me bringing this forward today, is because of the calls and what we've seen out social media and elsewhere, that I can't believe the police let this person back on the street again. And it happens quite regularly. And I want the community to know that's not the case. And thank you for bringing that up. This is an issue that is much deeper, as we've seen, and hence the reason why they're trying to look into bail reform on Bill C-14. And so it's our police officers do an exceptional job. And it's just, they're as frustrated, and probably more so than many of you that I've received calls from, for why these individuals are back on the street. And so to the point of knowing probably themselves that this is going to happen again, and did monitor and see that exact occurrence that happened. So I just want to make sure that we're considerate of our officers and those that are in the system that are trying to push this forward, because it's not their fault. So any other questions? Seeing none, I call for the vote. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. And from Councillor Campbell, a bylaw 6511, Downtown Business Improvement Area Tax Bylaw. For a second reading, be it resolved that bylaw 6511, Downtown Business Improvement Area Tax Bylaw, be given second reading. Councillor Campbell.
Mr. Mayor, and this requires council to pass a business improvement area tax bylaw, and the assessment and taxation presents an annual tax bylaw for council to establish the downtown Lethbridge BIA assessment role or for requirement for seeing the mill rate for the tax rate bylaw presented, which will be coming in April. We do this on an annual basis. And this will establish the tax class and authorize the city assessor to compile the annual business assessment role for taxation purposes.
Any questions? Seeing no questions, so take it for the call for the vote.
Call for the vote.
All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. And for a third reading, be it resolved that bylaw 6511, Downtown Business Improvement Area Tax Bylaw, be given third reading, and the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign and seal the same. Councillor Campbell.
Call for a vote.
Question been called. All in favor? And that too is unanimous. Thank you. Next, we have a City of Lethbridge critical water infrastructure update, and I'll turn the time over to Mr. City Manager to introduce that for this verbal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In light of some recent events in Calgary, even though we did it, feels like 2 years ago, whenever the last incident was in Calgary, I felt it might be appropriate to provide an update to council and largely the citizens as far as the water infrastructure, just a high-level overview, water infrastructure in the city of Lethbridge. So Mr. Sanchez or he and his team are prepared to provide that update now if council so wishes.
All right. Turn the time over to Mr. Sanchez.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to talk about the water work that we have been doing for the last year or so. And I do have here today Mr. Adam McDonald, who is our water municipal engineer or manager that oversees all this area, and Jeff Kashuda, who is on the capital planning and design, general manager for that area. So today I just wanted to give council a quick verbal update on our unique situation or where we are in terms of the water side. So each municipality water system and distribution system is unique. It all depends on the terrain, the geography where the municipality is located, and also the demand and the soil conditions. This is what defines what type of pipe or what system is put in place. In the case of the city of Lethbridge, our water treatment plant is located in the river valley, which requires to have the transmission pipes that we have under pressure to pump the water all the way up to the reservoirs. So we currently have 6 reservoirs across the city, and they are located some on the west side, north, and south. The way our system is or was designed is that it's interconnected. So we have pipelines that can fill these reservoirs, and from those reservoirs, we can actually fill or supply water to other areas depending on the needs. It's specific for each one of the areas. There might be some conditions that might not be ideal, but we have a system that for the most part has some redundancy and reliability. What we need to consider though is that some of the pipes that we have are over 40, 50 years old, some are 20 years old, so there is a mixture of these ones. And we do have some pipe on the river valley on some of the main transmission pipelines that are the same type of material that the pipe that caused the issues in Calgary over the last 2 to 3 years, and with the most recent one happening in December. The team has been working in terms to do a comprehensive risk assessment of the whole water distribution system, and it is considering the pipe age, the material, the break history. We have all the information and all the critical factors in order to plan ahead and see what options do we have. And this also includes system redundancy. The evaluations are going or have been ongoing for the past few years, and we work very closely with our financial department, our asset management team as well, in order to incorporate all the information into the system and then try to predict and to have measurements in place to be able to respond quickly when we have any of these challenges. In the event of a transmission main break, The remaining, again, I want to stress this, the remaining reservoirs can maintain the level of service or the water availability until the repairs are completed for the most part. This comes with a caveat as well. Again, I want to stress that too, is that some of the pipe is aging and is becoming to the life cycle. That's where the team is going to come back over the next CIP cycle in order to bring projects forward that we can ensure that we have all the tools and all the resources available to react appropriately. On the capital side or the capital projects and planning, the city recently completed what we call the UIMP, which is the Underground Infrastructure Master Plan. This plan incorporates not only the water, but the wastewater side. All the pipes that we have is like a snapshot. At that time, what is the capacity that we have available? What is the life, what is left in terms of the usable life of the pipe? And we also look into a little bit of modeling in terms of what do we need to do moving forward. The plan is in place, and the first project that we are going to be presenting is the design and the building of one of the main lines, the transmission line. We're going to be twinning this line to address the risk of life cycle and the life expectancy of this pipe, and also because of this pipe is the same material and give or take almost the same age as the pipe that we had in Calgary. We believe we still have some more years, but you never know. It all depends. When you look at different elements, it all depends on the soil condition too. If the soil is too acidic, then that can have a different effect on the pipe. The team is working, evaluating all those different elements to ensure that we have the details that we need to. Some of the other projects that will be presented to council in the near future will be some of the northeast field main upgrades. So that's another twinning of the line, the southeast reservoirs, the reservoir on the uplands as well. We're gonna be doing some life cycle and proposing some work on the field mains for the southwest. And we have a couple of projects on Mayor McGrath Drive Northeast and Gary Drive. So using all the information that we have on hand, we believe that the system is working as expected, and we have different elements to monitor the performance. And the team also has worked based on lessons learned, what happened in Calgary. We have prepared some of the repair kits out on hand. We also have a preliminary design that is ready on the shelf. So we will be able to react and act accordingly if there is an emergency like the one that happened in the city of Calgary recently. With that, I'm open to answer any other questions. And as I mentioned before, we have the team here to answer any specific details about the projects.
Thank you. Councillor Croson.
Thank you, Mayor Hagan. Thank you for all the details, Mr. Sanchez. Let's just ask the question the way the public might ask it. Do we have any one single pipe in this city that runs 60% of our water and would create quite the catastrophe if it won't? Or have we already built in enough redundancy that we're not in the same place?
I just want to make sure I talk to the experts behind me before I say something that is not right. And yes, I can confirm that we don't have any pipeline that carries 60% of the capacity, which is, again, what happened in other places, Montreal, Calgary in the past. Our system is evenly distributed. As I mentioned before, we have 6 reservoirs, and the pipelines feed all those 6 and these. There might be one system that it probably carries a little bit more than the other ones, but it is not over probably 35% of the capacity, less than that. And that depends on, if I'm clear on which one is the one that goes to the north east. And that's because that's where we have most of the commercial and industrial customers, and we have a greater need in that area.
So really, while you and your team are improving the system, we already have decades of good management that is in the system.
Absolutely. For the most part, the team has done a good job on that end.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Hagan.
Thank you. Councillor Doria.
Thank you for the updates. My only question is, you presented different projects, and do you have a timeline when to present this to the council so that we can know what is the status of our water transmissions? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your question. That's an excellent question. The projects that I mentioned on a very high level right now, they will be presented as part of the next CIP council deliberations that will happen late this year. I believe it's somewhere in the fall, but Mr. Matthews can probably talk a little bit more about that.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. So, members of council, I should say, that was an economic all of a sudden. In regards to the CIP, there'll be a couple pieces of this, Councilor Doria, that will come in. So what will happen there is there'll be some information later in the spring in regards to and before summer that will actually show some of the projects. Mr. Sanchez is right. The deliberations for CIP occur in the fall on it to final decisions, but you'll start getting that information that Mr. Sanchez talked about later this spring.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, go to debate, and Councillor Wolf to open debate.
Are there anybody in the queue for the debate? If not, we'll call the question.
All right, thank you again for that report, and the question's been called. All in favor?
Oh.
And that is unanimous. Thank you.
Oh, I guess was I supposed to read, be it resolved as the city council?
Yep. Be it resolved that City Council
fault.
receive this for information.
Ah.
Again, all in favor? Thank you, sorry. All right. We almost didn't receive that for information. Sorry.
Belinda, it's not off, right? When it's red, it's off. No, I have to put off.
Right. Moving on to submissions. 10.1, City Council Strategic Planning. Be it resolved, the City Council direct administration to finalize planning and logistics for council strategic planning in 2026 as follows. Location. So this is something that we'll need to chat about. All right, through questions. All right. I just see that it's a blank in the space, and so I know we have Mr. Hillier and Ms. Mitten here to answer any question you may have regarding strat planning. And Councillor Croson, if you wanted to start with questions.
Process question. Ms. Mitten, I'm trying to think back to past years. Do we not normally do part of this in closed? Some of the discussion around this, if we choose to.
Yes, that is correct, Councillor Croson. We would go into close to discuss final costs for facilitation and locations.
Okay, so we can ask any broader questions than that in open, but there are some questions you would want to answer in closed, just as a process for my colleagues to remember. Thank you.
Questions? Councillor Dodick.
You know, I've been looking at the strategic plans for a number of councils, and there, you know, seems to be a theme that comes out of them. And it's like, you know, grow economically, be responsible with the environment, be good neighbors with your neighbors, and things of that nature. Could you give me a really good reason why we even do a strategic plan? What's the purpose of it? Because what I remember of doing these things is writing all these thoughts on sticky notes and saying transit and, you know, dog parks and, you know, everything. And someone gathers up this thing and comes out with a document that says, got to be good stewards of the environment, got to be, you know, be economically diverse and all that sort of thing. So, I mean, what's the point is what I'm saying. I mean, we could just adopt the 2021 one and it would be a lot cheaper.
Yeah, and thank you for the question. I think, and there is some presentation slides, and I would direct council to slide 3 in the presentation deck that was included with this. Really, I would say kind of 3 high-level areas, you know, on why council may want to do this, and recognizing that there are, to your point, Councillor Dodick, some common themes that you know would resonate with this council or councils across Canada. But you know why any individual council would want to do that would be to provide that clear direction to the organization and ensure that there's alignment across the organization. It helps to strengthen governance. It builds consensus amongst council and it really does create that unified message from council to the community to say these are our priorities. This is what matters most to us as a council. And I think as well, again, the process that we are proposing with this is a multi-phase process. You know, a little bit more comprehensive than in the past. But one of the things that we are looking with this is that there is a framework to measure success moving forward with it as well. So it establishes what success looks like for your term of council, and then measures the outcomes throughout the term to ensure that we're hitting those targets.
I guess my follow-up question is, the previous council strategic focus areas was economically prosperous, healthy and diverse, culturally vibrant, quality design in terms of a quality built environment, environmentally responsible, and regional support. But isn't that what the council prior to ours would want to focus on, and what we should be focusing on? And this seems to just be a reiteration of what the Municipal Government Act says are our roles and responsibilities. So that's what, it's, to me, it seems like, and maybe this is more debate, is that the Municipal Government Act directs us as to what our strategic goals are, or what our strategic plan is. And that is what the province has told us it should be, and it's listed. And that's where we get to. So, we would measure our success based on what the province has told us through the Municipal Government Act.
And again, I think, absolutely, it is up to each individual council to determine their interpretation of what each of those means. A council could adopt, this council could adopt the exact same 6 focus areas. You may adjust them. You may set different targets or different outcomes that you're looking for. And ultimately, that would be up to the 9 of you to determine what value it is and what values the most to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and I see that as that 20,000 foot view, but maybe we need to become more granular with strat planning, and where it's not just at that MGA level of you must do these things, but come to think about. Councillor Schmidt-Rempel.
Thank you very much. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the city manager or designate on this one. We've got the financial implications saying it will be funded through unspent allocations on council's travel budget, but the motion that came up says with funding redirected from council's travel budget. I'm just looking for some clarification on unspent allocations in council's travel budget. What year is that from? And if we could, I'd like that clarified in the motion, please.
Thank you, members of council and Councillor Schmidt-Rempel for that question. I'll start there with the allocations and where the funding is coming from. So over the last 2 years, 24 and 25, council had a surplus in unused travel of just over $123,000 within their mayor and city clerk's budget. So that funding would be adequate to actually pay for the up to the maximum amount, which is $112,000 if council chose that option to do that as well too. So, and then I think there was one other piece of your question that I'm not answering there.
Just that my concern is that the motion doesn't reflect it. The motion just says it's coming from council's travel budget, but the financial implication in the handout that we've got in the agenda package says that it will be funded through unspent allocation in council's travel budget. I think that we should really clarify in the motion that it's funding redirected from unspent allocations of the 2024-2025 council travel budget, because I would hate to use the 2026 travel budget for this when there's other things we might be doing in 2026.
Yeah, that would be fine to add in that piece. It is from that point of view, council has, because it's a multi-year budgeting piece, you have the 100 and the savings, and it looks like roughly about 132,000 in total, including the travel amount that'll be rolled over. Plus, you have an additional 112,000 between the mayor's and council's travel budget for 2026. So either way could be done. It definitely on the unspent allocations of 2024 and 2025, that'll make it clear, and we'll put those aside if that's what council chooses.
Thank you very much. And one other question, if I may, Mr. Mayor. And I guess this is out to my colleagues. We're looking at, when we look at the presentation, and perhaps this is something, I mean, my concern, and I do believe we need to do the strategic planning. My concern is that we're looking at not even having a strategic plan released until the end of 2026. We're already done 1 year of this term. So that strat plan will only be for 2 years, for 2027 and 2028. And I guess I'm just wondering where my colleagues are with the comfort level of not strategic planning for the whole time. Are we going to look at breaking up that strat planning? What will we do with that? Because we're only looking at really having 2 years of strategic plan as we work through the whole of the strategic plan for 2026. So I do believe we need to do it, but I'm curious to hear my colleagues' thoughts on only having a strat plan for 2 years when we should really be setting a mandate for at least the 4. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wolf.
I had a question, not necessarily a response to Councillor Schmidt-Rempel, so I can wait.
Yep, go ahead. No response here, and hopefully one does come out. If not, we'll circle back to that if we can.
Yeah, I think this is a great question. I just wanted to ask, I'm noticing here are different budget options here. My vote would be to stay home, I think. Not that that is a firm and concrete decision, but that's where I'm leaning. So my question is, if we stayed home and avoided a $90,000 consultant, I would need some pretty serious convincing that there's a $90,000 consultant out there that can fix my questions about the city. So my question is, would there be an advantage, and maybe this is to management, like if we just expanded the audience or participants within city ELT, city management, city employees from the various departments, would there be an advantage of expanding the amount of people that participate within our discussions to get their points of view and other options and their ideas as opposed to a $90,000 consultant?
I can take the first stab at answering that, and if others would like to add some context to that, I think they could. And again, ultimately, I'll start first and foremost that the location and how the resourcing looks for the lead of this. Again, that's really the decision that I'm looking for today. From a process standpoint, there is a lot of different ways we can look at it. A potential advantage of looking at a local option and what can work, to your point, is it does offer a little bit more flexibility where you could have a core group, meaning council, maybe ELT if that is who council decided they wanted to be there, that you have a core group going through the planning, but depending on what the conversation looks like on a given day, you could bring in particular experts in that area if you were talking about a specific topic. So maybe you're talking about community safety in a particular topic, and you decided to bring in Andrew Malcolm as part of the community services, or the police chief in for that small part of the conversation to help aid in that part of the conversation. So I think to answer your question, how and who we include in that is ultimately really up to council and how they want to see the process unfold.
So I was going to jump in. I was actually looking to see if any members of council had thoughts. I certainly do. The challenge I would see when you get to the larger group is it depends on the problem you're trying to solve or the goal you want to achieve. So council has and I'm looking at Councillor Crowson, a governance level responsibility. And if we start getting a number of people in the room, and I've been there, in fact, the last strategic plan, is we get into the weeds sometimes, into operational things, and it's important to stay at that governance level, which is a little more generic and based on ebbs and flows over the 4 years, has the ability to morph and change as new things come along or unexpected things happen. So I would suggest that is the risk. I understand the value, but that's also the benefit of keeping things at that higher governance level as opposed to getting into tactical or operational levels.
Thank you. I guess maybe I'm a little bit understanding Councillor Dodik's point is if this is just going to be a brainstorming session with sticky notes of what we think is a good idea, then the key is then to get to what Mr. Mayor said, is to find some granular things where we really come up with some actionable points at the end of the process, as opposed to we will become better tree huggers.
Thank you, Councillor Wolf. All right, Councillor Crowson.
Thank you. And to follow up on what the city manager said, this is our strategic plan, and if you get too many staff in it, you get a city strategic plan and not a council strategic plan. They have their own plans that follow from ours. This has to be at ours. This is our opportunity to take 9 people and meld an idea together. And the product is one thing. The process is a completely different thing. It is about team building. It is about learning what makes you tick and what makes me tick and how we work together. We've been doing a lot of orientation, but it's not at all the same thing. This is our chance to put our ideas on the table and to find out. And it may be the same 5 things from last time with 2 more added. I mean, it's the same city. It's not going to change a lot. But this is a completely different council with a different group of people around the table, and we have to come up with our own strategy. And so taking something from the past and just bringing it in, that's the product. It's not the process. For me, those 2 days, or however long it is, and how we interact and how we work together as a team and how we hear each other's ideas are a huge part of it. And I know, and then this is the 3rd strategic planning, and I realize that's why the non-Lethbridge option is in, because I can hear Councillor Carlson in my head from past, that going away makes you have to spend the evenings together and to get to know each other and all that, or else you just run away at 5 o'clock and it's done. That's why that option is always on, because that social setting sets up a very different relationship between council than a business meeting during the day. So that's why administration keeps bringing it on there, because it sets it up different. Of course, the cost is quite different as well, but that's why it is there. And the other thing, our last time we didn't do a strat plan, we did an action plan. Very different thing to do an action plan and a strat plan. It's not at all this, I mean, it's similar, but it's not identical. I'd like to, if any one of us sat here and said, what's the vision for Lethbridge? Would we all say the same thing? And if we don't, we need a strategic plan. Because that's what we actually need, is what is the vision and what is the shared vision of all 9 of us, and how can we go out there and for 2.5, 3 years that's left after we create it, make sure we're all on the same page. Because I can tell you the communities that have a good vision and a good strategic plan are going to eat us for lunch if we don't do it. So again, how we do it, what it looks like, I'd like to see it a lot faster than December as well, but I'd like to see everything tomorrow. That's just the way my brain works. It's absolutely essential, and some of our colleagues have already finished their strategic plans. Like some communities already have this done for various reasons. So today we need to really think about what do we want to achieve, how we're going to achieve it, so these guys can go book whatever we want. The other thing is I would recommend only the city managers here again and not the admin for those sorts of reasons. And I would recommend we bring out, I see the pros and cons of the external and non-external, but sometimes if we get somebody from inside, we risk tunnel vision because they already know us. They know how we think. You get somebody from outside, sometimes they can challenge us, and that's the pros and cons and different things. But I would like to be challenged on some of this stuff. I don't want to just go same old because same people are in the room. I would like something that we're going, are you really sure that's what you want? And this might be one of the reasons we should be enclosed, because that was no question in there. Don't you agree?
Thank you. And if any time you want to discuss more, a little deeper, as you mentioned at the beginning there, Councillor Crowson, we can go into close. Is there an appetite to do that for prior, or did you got a few more questions? All right, we'll continue on. Councillor Schmidt-Rempel.
Less of a question and more of a comment following up on what Councillor Crowson said. When we look at the slide presentations with location options, we're looking at strategic planning for 20 people. And I echo Councillor Crowson's comments on, I think that really just needs council and at most the city manager. And I do agree that the team building component is really part of the strategic planning. One of the other things that we do need to talk about that would be part of the strategic planning is what our growth priorities are. We've heard that come up time and time again during some of our council orientation, and I think that's something we really need to have a discussion about, and that would come through in our strategic planning and what we're looking at there. So while we look at the Lethbridge and non-Lethbridge options, the estimated maximum costs, I'm not sure are quite accurate because it does say for 20 people. So I think we have to look at that math again. And I mean, Councillor Carlson did reiterate over and over again that some of the best strat planning, some of the best team building came out of sessions that were not held in Lethbridge. So while I like going home at the end of the day to my husband and 2 cats, I'd certainly think that might work to our advantage if we did go away to work on that and do that team building that we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bieber. Question?
First of all, I really appreciate the comments that have been made by Councillors Dodick and Crowson, but I guess from a newcomer's perspective, looking at this from a grassroots perspective, I'm just wondering if somebody can tell me and the members of the public, what is truly the value of having a strategic plan for our community's future?
Yeah, thank you. And again, similar to my response to Councillor Dodick, I think really what this does is it does set the vision for what you hope to achieve during your term, what it looks like. Again, it provides that clear direction on the things that you want us as administration to focus on, but as well maybe the things that you don't want us to focus on. It does, again, provide and strengthen governance. It builds consensus amongst the team to Councillor Crowson's comments. It does help you to get that shared understanding about what it looks like, and then from that be able to provide a unified message to the community on what it is you're hoping to achieve as a council over your term. And again, as I had mentioned, and again, not necessarily something that we've seen in the past, but I do think it should create a framework to measure success. So again, what does success look like? How do we measure those outcomes, those things that matter most to council? And as well, just a follow-up, and I know it wasn't necessarily a question from Councillor Schmidt-Rempel, but just a follow-up as well on the 20 individuals. I will say that the 20 individuals for strategic planning is not necessarily my recommendation. What it is was a number that was chosen, which included 9 members of council, the 9 members of ELT, 1 facilitator, and 1 scribe, equaling 20 people, which I figured would probably be the maximum number of people that would probably attend the strategic planning, and therefore presented the upper threshold of what the cost would be. And to your comment, if that was smaller, meaning the 9 members of council and just the city manager, I'm still assuming a facilitator and a scribe, that those costs would be reduced because, again, there would be less travel, less accommodation, less food and meals that would be required.
Councillor Dodick.
Yeah, reference was made to that it's important for us to have a vision. So let me read you the vision when I was mayor, 2010-2013. The vision, it said, for council, we have a culture of public service which has earned the trust, respect, and confidence of our community. For our community, we're recognized as being safe, healthy, vibrant, welcoming, prosperous, economically viable, and a place where all people can fully participate in community life. And the mission was to lead, to serve, and to inspire. In 2017, council was, we will continue to work together to ensure that Lethbridge demonstrates active leadership in environmental stewardship and innovation and is recognized as being a safe, healthy, vibrant, prosperous, economically viable place where all people can fully participate in community life. Those two visions are exactly the same if you put the words together or put them in a different order. So why would our vision change? That we have a culture of public service and so on. Oh, I guess that wasn't a question. I asked myself. Yes, I agree with Councillor Dodig.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Crowson.
I am going to now make a motion that we go into closed session to ask some of the questions we may not be able to ask in private under whatever sections Councillor or the city clerk tells us we could go under.
Okay, so at 1:25, if we get the sections from Madam City Clerk, could just give just 1
I
minute.
don't know this new legislation well enough to rattle them off.
From FOIP to ITI, change this.
At least I knew FOIP was in the 20s. I want some 20.
So advice from officials and section 29 and 18, third-party interests, and that's at 1:24 p.m. Can I take it as your motion, Councillor
I
Crowson?
make the motion.
All in favor? And that's what passes. We are all enclosed. Anyway. All right, we'll continue on with 10.1 City Council Strategic Planning. Be it resolved that City Council direct administration to finalize planning and logistics for council strategic planning in 2026 as follows. The location, Lethbridge, and that's utilizing internal resources, with the funding redirected from the unspent allocations in the 24 to 25 council travel budget. And further be resolved that council direct administration to proceed with the confidential direction provided in closed session, return to the February 10th, 2026 closed meeting of City Council, and further be resolved that council direct that the closed session documents and discussions regarding City Council strategic planning remain confidential pursuant to Section 19, information harmful to business interests of a third party, and 29, advice from officials of the Access to Information Act. Any questions on this? If not, Councillor Crowson to open.
As my colleagues know, as the public knows, it is routine to go through strategic planning at the beginning of a new council term. We will be undergoing strategic planning this spring. This is setting direction to our administration to find a location in Lethbridge, find a facilitator from amongst our staff, and to set out the process to bring it back with the hope that we will get this done much quicker than we saw in the original plan, so that we can get a strategic plan and start enacting it and getting the work done on behalf of our residents. If there are no questions, I will simply call a vote.
See no questions. Question been called. All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. All right, moving on to administrative inquiries and responses, and that's and also as well as City Council updates. But we'll start with administrative inquiries and responses. City supports for joint ventures 11.1 we have within your package, and I'm sure everybody's had the opportunity to look through that. Don't know if there's any questions on that. If not, we will move on to City Council updates, and I do see updates from Councillor Crowson regarding professional development opportunities in 2026. And I'm sure maybe you want to touch base on those if you could, Councillor Crowson. The floor is yours.
This actually ties in perfectly with our strategic planning. And this isn't a suggestion that, hey, somebody has to go to every one of these, but it's to start looking at the options, and hopefully we will take some of these professional development, when we look at our strategic planning, if there are areas or gaps in knowledge, have somebody go and of course report back so that we all have the same information. And so this is simply a listing. Some are ones that you can take online, some are ones that there are actual conferences. Most of these conferences are annual. And so if one is, I know there's one that's in St. John's, probably very expensive this year, but keep in mind they usually alternate between East and West, so it's probably much cheaper in 2027 if somebody is looking into that, and vice versa. So just, again, not every one that somebody could do, but just to give a sense that covers the gamut of some of the different things we might be interested in, and just to make sure that we are again, linking it to strategic planning, bringing back the information for all of our colleagues so that we can send one person to be our representative so we can all learn. So just a list.
Thank you. And beyond that, we do have a public hearing at 3 o'clock, but we will go into closed on the final two items, 14.1 and 14.3. So public member appointments, boards, commissions, committees matter with ATIA sections 20, 22, and 29, and 14.3 in infrastructure matter with ATIA 20 and 29, right? Just 29? At 29, and so I'll ask for someone to make a motion at 2:35 to enter closed for those items. All right, Councillor Campbell, all in favor? All right, we'll be back for 3 o'clock. Good afternoon and welcome to public hearing 6506 and 6507. I now call the public hearing for 6507, amendment to bylaw 5115, the specialist offices plan regarding 1905 10th Avenue South, and bylaw 6506, land use bylaw amendment regarding 1905 10th Avenue South. In accordance with section 692.2 of the Municipal Government Act, there will be one presentation for both bylaws, as bylaw 6506 is dependent on bylaw 6507. The procedure of the hearing will be, we'll begin by calling upon Anastasia Blomgren, Community Planner, to provide background to the case. Anyone else who wishes to speak to these bylaws will then be called upon. We'll ask 3 times if there's anyone else who wishes to make a presentation from the public. City Council will then have the opportunity to ask questions of any of the presenters, and then the public hearing will be closed, and the consideration of second and third reading will be made by City Council immediately following the public hearing. So with that, I'll call upon Anastasia Blomgren to provide the background to the case.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I will now present the background information for Bylaw 6507, proposed amendment to Specialist Offices Plan, and Bylaw 6506, proposed amendment to Land Use Bylaw 6300 regarding 1905 10th Avenue South. The application was made by Bethany Mills with the purpose of amending the Specialist Office Plan, SOP, by removing the parcel from the plan area. This map shows the existing and proposed amendment, which removes the parcel at 1905 10th Avenue South from the plan area. The SOP was adopted in 2001 to regulate the demand for medical uses in the area surrounding Chinook Regional Hospital. Policy direction reflects the priority at the time to preserve the residential built form of the area. The SOP introduced the PSO Specialist Office Land Use District, including the specialized use of Medical Surgical Specialist Office as defined by the Alberta College of Physicians and Surgeons. Since the plan adoption, we have heard that a greater range of medical professionals are interested in being located close to the hospital, and only 3 out of 61 potential properties have been rezoned to the PSO district, indicating that the development rules of this district do not meet the needs of medical and health offices for general and specialist practitioners alike. The applicant wishes to operate a counseling office at this property, which would not be considered a specialist as defined by the Alberta College of Physicians and Surgeons, and as a result, it would not be allowed within the SOP. Therefore, a plan amendment to the SOP is required to remove 1905 10th Avenue South from the plan area. This slide lists the most relevant policies in the SSRP and MDP, which are also available in the submission report in your agenda package. The proposal complies with these policies. There is a concurrent application made by the same applicant to rezone the subject parcel from low-density residential to direct control. The purpose is to allow a change of use of the existing building to medical and health office outpatient to allow for a counseling office, which is not allowed in the current low-density residential district. The amendment location is in Victoria Park neighborhood near the Chinook Regional Hospital. This aerial photo illustrates the surrounding built form ranging from larger institutional buildings to lower density residential buildings. And this is a photo of the site taken in December 2025, facing north from 10th Avenue South. The applicant intends to change the use of the existing building to allow for a counseling office. The proposed DC bylaw would facilitate this by adding medical and health office outpatient as an additional permitted use, which is not allowed in the current RL district. The proposed DC bylaw would also maintain the existing low-density residential uses, such as single detached dwelling as a permitted use, to allow the building to be converted back to a dwelling in the future and sustain the residential character. These 2 maps show the existing land use in the surrounding area, which includes public building, commercial, low and medium density residential, and direct control districts. The proposed amendment would allow a medical use on the property in a location that is ideally situated near many other services. A DC district was identified as the most appropriate for this property, as it would provide for a broader range of medical practitioners to locate near the hospital while still being mindful of the scale and impact to surrounding residential uses. The proposed DC bylaw includes restrictions on the number of staff that can be on site at any given time to 3, and a minimum provision of 4 off-street parking spaces, among other development standards. These development standards are intended to minimize impacts on the surrounding neighborhood and maintain the low-density residential character of this property. The proposed amendment has been reviewed by city staff, and no servicing or infrastructure concerns were identified. Again, this slide lists the most relevant policies in the SSRP and MDP, which are also available in the submission report in the agenda package. The proposal complies with these policies. The applicant hosted an open house on August 12, 2025. However, no neighbors were in attendance. Notifications were mailed to the highlighted addresses shown on the map above and posted on the city's website. Advertisements also appeared in the Lethbridge Herald on the dates shown here. As of today, no feedback from the public has been received. In conclusion, the proposed amendments align with all statutory plans. Planning and Design recommends that City Council considers this information for the public hearing for bylaws 6507 and 6506. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Spolmgren. The applicant, Ms. Bethany Mills, is here to make a presentation. Yeah, come on up to the mic. It's my first time doing this. Oh, you got this. Just so easy.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Bethany Mills. I've lived in Lethbridge since 2000. I've been practicing as a psychologist since 2016. My areas of specialty include working with children, youth, and families, providing therapy and assessment services, particularly or specifically psychoeducational assessment services. Since becoming a psychologist in 2016, it's been a goal of mine to be able to open up and run my own clinic and to provide services to families in a way that's central and also allows for collaborative and coordinated care. I purchased the space by the hospital in May. I've been looking for about 2 years and just going through the rezoning process. I'm really hoping that you guys will consider my application, and I'm happy to offer or to answer any questions. Thank you in advance for your consideration.
Thank you. See, you're an expert. I'll just ask if there's, thank you very much. Next, are there any members of the public that wish to make a presentation on this? And just as a reminder, you'll have 5 minutes to speak to the issue. For a second time, are there any members of the public that wish to make a presentation on this matter? And for a third and final time, are there any members of the public that wish to make a presentation on this matter? So hearing no other presenters, it's now time for City Council to ask any questions of the presenters. And we'll start off with Councillor Dodick.
This question is for city administration. And the question is, it said that direct control was identified as the most suitable zoning. Who did the identifying?
So when an application is made, city staff go through the land use bylaw and look at all of the different districts that we have and make a decision based on what would be suitable for the site. The only other districts that a direct control would work would be commercial districts, considering where the address is and the impacts to other surrounding neighbors if any other commercial permitted uses were to be allowed. That's why we decided to go with direct control.
In the commercial areas, or rather the areas that are zoned commercial in Lethbridge, are there areas which have medical and health office as a permitted use?
Yes, we do have commercial districts that have that as a permitted use, that's correct.
Okay, so that means that the applicant or anyone else that wanted to open a similar office could do so by, for example, renting one of those and getting a development officer to issue a permit as of right. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. it becomes kind of interesting because we talk about housing and the lack of housing, but turning this into direct control removes a house available for someone to live in. I guess by definition, that would be correct.
It still allows the house to be used if the current owner decides to stop using it as a counseling office.
No, but I mean, if this is approved and a development permit, or it is issued, once it becomes a counseling office, it's no longer a residence.
That's correct.
Okay. And my final question is the property then taxed at commercial rates or at residential rates?
So I don't have an answer for that. Perhaps the applicant may be more able to speak to why she picked this location.
Okay.
Yes, I definitely appreciate your question. So first, to speak towards the how it's so it will be commercial. It changes once if the rezoning is approved. I will be paying commercial taxes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Do you want me to speak to the location piece as well?
No, just so you understand where my questions are coming from. I am generally opposed to direct control. I mean, I have no problem with the services you provide. I'm sure they're excellent. I just have a zoning block against direct control. So if you see me vote in opposition, it's for that reason, not because I have any problem.
The services. And I guess that's the area of expertise of these lovely individuals here. The reason I picked the location, I've been looking for 2 years, and yes, you're right, there are some other places that are zoned, but they're typically far out in the industrial area, and there's also a lack of commercial properties available. So the space by the hospital is just ideal. There's pediatrician offices that I often coordinate with. There's speech language pathologists, and lots of the families I serve, some of them don't have ease of transportation. So just being able to have that centralized location would be such a privilege.
Okay, thank you very much.
Councillor Bieber.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'm still trying to get the hang of this microphone thing, and I'm trying to avoid from impaling myself with it. But I guess this isn't really probably an issue with the neighbors, but I'm just concerned.
Yeah.
A question about the amount of parking your clients are going to take up. Will that have any impact on the neighbors? Because eventually you're going to be asked that question by somebody. So I thought I'd ask it here.
I've been asked so much about parking. I was looking for a property for 2 years, and I was like, is there enough parking? So yes, there's actually 5 spots on site. There's 4 in back right now, and the backyard's actually pretty large. So if this goes through, I'd be looking into seeing if I can add even more. So there's enough for all the staff. It's actually located right across the street from, I think there's like 10 to 12 stalls that are 2 hours in length. The services I offer are during the daytime, so it's not on weekends. There's a church right across the street, so those parking spaces I think would be used mainly on Saturdays and Sundays and for other types of events. So I've been to the property lots, I know the location well, and typically the parking is empty. So staff would have parking, there'd be extra for clients, and because I provide psychoeducational assessment, that's half of my practice. Someone gets dropped off, I spend 3 to 4 hours with them, so even that is like more of a drop off, and then the parent would pick the child up when I'm done the testing. Yes.
Councillor Doria.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, my question is for the applicant. Sorry for that.
I'm getting my steps in.
Having heard that there are available spaces in the city for clinics, like for zones that accommodate clinics like yours. My question is, do you have any studies wherein you choose to be on that area rather than putting your clinic within the city because there are available spaces for your clinic? And other considerations that I have looked into is, yes, the parking, but mostly on whether or not it can be situated in the area, not necessarily on that area that you purchase. Can you give us a sense that it's more like profitable or more attractive to be there? Thank you.
Yes, I've been looking for a long time. I worked quite a while with a commercial real estate individual, so it was almost a 2-year process looking at different properties, looking in the industrial area, looking at what options there were. And actually working closely with the city as well. So this area was actually within that specialist redevelopmental zone. The homes are typically older, so this house is very old and will need some work to update it. It's central location, so there is a pediatric clinic that I work quite closely with just around the corner. There's the hospital services right down the street. There is, like I said, the location is prime for parking, with parking across the street for clients, 2 hours. In regards to accessibility, being central in Lethbridge, it can be a huge asset to the families that I serve. I have different contracts, including children's services, work closely for family supports with children with disabilities, some people that need to take the bus to arrive, so just having that space to be accessible would be a huge asset just for clients and services, and being able to coordinate care with other clinics nearby. And there's also, I think, 2 other therapist offices that provide a range of different services, so having that all in the same area I think would be an asset to the community and the families that I serve.
Just a follow-up question, Chair. You said that there was already a public or open discussion, but there was nobody in attendance. Was it a presumption that they are they're approving the clinic there to be situated there?
That's what I was told with the city representative that attended. I also introduced myself to the neighbors, and I actually got a message from the neighbor right next door saying, good luck today, I fully support your application, I hope it's approved. I did also connect with other services that are close by within that neighborhood, and they were all in support as well.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Councillor Crowson.
Thank you, Mayor Hagan. My question is for administration. We've had a few changes in the specialist office plan, and when this one came up, my first thought was counseling is medical. I know this is for specific. Was there any thought given to changing the plan instead of rezoning the one property? I'm not suggesting that's the way to go, just we've seen a few with this plan, and just wondering if there's any thought to doing this the other way around.
Yes, so thank you for the question. We have considered that because it's come up a couple times now to take these properties out of the plan because they're not quite working that well within the plan. It would take a comprehensive review of the entire specialist office's plan to do that, while at the same time we have initiated the starting of the Victoria Park area redevelopment plan, which would be a plan that regulates for the entire Victoria Park neighborhood, of which the specialist office's plan is a part of. The plan for that would be, if the Victoria Park plan was approved by council, then the specialist office's plan would be rescinded and essentially replaced with any policies that are in the Victoria Park neighborhood plan.
So it's because of the time-consuming nature, those also need hearings, they're much larger, that this was decided if we're going to move this forward, we have to take this option to move it forward.
Yes, that's right. At this time, for the timeline of the applicant's project, this made the most sense for their project, and the long-term vision is as I just described.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Hagan.
Thank you, Councillor Crowson. Councillor Wolf.
Sorry, quick question for the applicant, if I may. How long ago was your first interaction with the city to get you to this point, approximately?
There was several properties I looked at that then didn't have enough parking or weren't right commercially for the
So as far as like buying this property and now to make it into a clinic?
It would have been back in April, I believe.
Okay.
And I just missed the deadline, I think, by 1 day to submit it with the previous city council.
Okay, follow up if I may. So maybe brag a little bit. So
Okay.
we've defined the medical term of a specialist. Why are you a specialist? What makes you special about being in that location? I think I have a vision of that, but like
for credential-wise and just the location, yes. Yeah, I am very passionate and well-educated in the area I serve. I've worked very hard to become a fully registered psychologist. I started out providing clinical and therapeutic services to children, youth, and families. That's a huge area of passion for me. I then added in assessment, and there's quite a large deficit of psychologists that are trained in providing assessments.
Okay, so let me pause you there. So how many of you are there in Lethbridge that can do what you do?
I believe there is 3 or 4 psychologists that are able to provide full psychoeducational assessments. I believe right now I'm the one of 2 that can provide autism spectrum disorder specialists, or assessments, which is another area of specialty for me. One of my dreams with having a clinic is being able to then bring on in the next couple of years students. I've been so blessed to have great mentorship and education, and I would love to be able to have a space where I can affordably provide that training and mentorship to the next generation of psychologists and fill a gap in the community.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I see no further questions, so hearing none, I'll call this public hearing closed. The matter will be decided later this afternoon following this hearing. Yes. What's that? Okay, sir, if we should get going here again, sorry, thank you. Just regarding the bylaw 6507, as many of you are aware, we heard this quite some time ago. It's just a few minutes ago. Amendment to bylaw 5115, the specialist offices plan regarding 1905 10th Avenue South. This is moved by Councillor Parker. For a second reading, so be it resolved that bylaw 6507, amendment to bylaws 5115, the specialist offices plan regarding 1905 10th Avenue South, be given second reading. Councillor Parker, open for questions first. Councillor Dodick? You're in debate, all right. Any questions from my colleagues? If none, to open debate, Councillor Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I appreciate the presentation through our administration. I also want to thank the applicant for answering all the questions that were asked. I think it's a great project. I think the appropriate zoning, I know a lot of us don't always want to do everything direct control, but we were explaining the logic behind it. But the biggest thing I heard today was your neighbor reached out to you and wished you good luck. And when you have your neighbors, the people that are mostly directly impacted, kind of have your back on this. I think it says a lot regarding the process and regarding all the work you did behind the scenes. So I just ask for council's support in supporting this.
Councillor Dodick.
Yes, in a rare move, I'm going to be supporting a direct control application in a residential area. And the reason for that is the applicant did due diligence in terms of looking at places that had medical and health offices of permitted use, and this became the best available property for her. Not only that, she was able to answer the question about whether she was paying residential taxes or commercial taxes. So she was obviously clearly knowledgeable of what's involved in getting the zoning and what was important. And I think it's going to be a good project. And like I said, reluctantly, but in this case, happily, I will support the direct control application.
I too will support this and quite surprised my colleague here because it's direct control that he's actually gone, but I will approve this as well. I think it's, I have no problem supporting this. I think it's a great from many of the comments we've heard thus far. So I wish you well going forward. If this does pass, I guess we still have to do that vote, but I see no other further debate. Yeah, this is just for amendment. There's 2 different parts to this, by the way. So one has to be supported and the second one has to follow through. So with that, back to Councillor Parker. Question been cut, all in favor? And that is unanimous. And we'll move to the third reading first on the first one. Be it resolved that bylaw 6507, amendment to bylaw 5115, the specialist offices plan regarding 1905 10th Avenue South be given third reading and the mayor and council and city clerk be authorized to sign and seal the same. Councillor Parker. Question's been called. All in favor? And that does pass. And now moving to bylaw 6506, Land Use Bylaw Amendment to 1905 10th Avenue South from Councillor Parker for a second reading. Be it resolved that bylaw 6506, Land Use Bylaw Amendment regarding 1905 10th Avenue South be given second reading. Councillor Parker?
I'm not going to add anything more. I think I spoke already. So
Okay.
otherwise,
Okay, just one moment. All right, Councillor Parker, so just call the question. Question's been called. All in favor? And that is unanimous. And for a third reading, be it resolved that bylaw 6506, Land Use Bylaw Amendment 1905 10th Avenue South be given third reading and the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign and seal the same. Councillor Parker, question's been called. All in favor? And that passed unanimously. Best of luck. Okay. All right, we'll move on to bylaws. Bylaw 6509, Land Use Bylaw Amendment regarding 110 Sunridge Road West. I now call the public hearing for bylaw 6509, Land Use Bylaw Amendment 110 Sunrise Road West to order. Let's try that again. Prisoners will be, the procedure for this hearing we'll begin by calling on Ms. Genesis Molesky, community planner, to provide background to the case. Anyone else who wishes to speak to this bylaw will then be called upon. We'll ask 3 times if there's anyone else who wishes to make a presentation. City Council will then have the opportunity to ask questions of any of the presenters. The hearing will then be closed. Consideration of second and third reading will be made by City Council immediately following the public hearing. I now call on Ms. Molesky to provide a background to the case.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and members of Council. Bylaw 6509 is a proposed land use bylaw amendment for the property at 110 Sunridge Road West. The applicant is Cedar Ridge Quality Homes Limited. The purpose of their application is to allow the construction of 12 residential dwelling units in place of the commercial development that was previously planned for this parcel. This is achieved by introducing a new set of direct control rules. The proposed amendment area is located in the Sunridge neighborhood. The site is located at the corner of Sunridge Boulevard and Sunridge Road. This site is the last undeveloped site in the area shown here in the aerial photograph. Getting closer to the property, this photo was taken on Sunridge Boulevard and shows the front of the undeveloped parcel. This is also taken on Sunridge Boulevard, and it shows both the undeveloped parcel as well as the adjacent completed residential development to the south of the property. These maps show a side-by-side comparison of the existing versus the proposed land use districts. This site is surrounded by existing development, including a commercial site to the east, as well as medium-density residential development and a park to the west. Moving on to background information, the existing direct control bylaw was approved in 2022. This bylaw is bylaw 6350. The purpose of that bylaw was to allow for the development of 20 residential dwelling units on what is referred to as Area A and 1 commercial building for the Area B. Area B has been subdivided and is a parcel that is subject to this proposed rezoning. And Area A, the development for this was completed in 2025, and you can see what that looks like in the photograph attached here. Area B has remained undeveloped, and the applicant and property owner now wishes to use this parcel for the development of 12 residential dwelling units instead of the allowable commercial building. Currently, the existing direct control bylaw only allows commercial uses at this property, and therefore an amendment is required to allow residential. The proposed bylaw 6509 regulates development standards to align with the development that has been completed to the south. These guidelines regulate things like setbacks, building height, site and building design, and in terms of parking 14 parking spaces are required. This proposal was reviewed by city staff from infrastructure, and no transportation or servicing issues were identified. The proposed rezoning is in line with the South Saskatchewan Regional Plan and the Municipal Development Plan, particularly with policies related to residential development. The proposal is also in compliance with the Mountain Heights Riverstone Riverbend Area Structure Plan and Sunridge Island Plan, which both state that medium-density residential should be located near collector roadways, which this parcel is. In terms of notification of this public hearing, information about the proposal and the public hearing was mailed to 6 property owners of the parcels shown in the green hatched areas on this map, and newspaper advertisements appeared in the Lethbridge Herald advertising the same information. The same information was also published on the city's website. As a result of this notification, I did not receive any phone calls or emails or communication regarding the proposal in support or in opposition. In conclusion, this proposal is compliant with statutory planning documents, and Planning and Design recommends that City Council consider this report as information for this public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Molesky. Is there any other members of the public who wish to make a presentation on this matter? You have 5 minutes to speak to it. Sure, sir, if you come forward, state your name. Just if you, you just come forward as you could ask a question that may not be responded to right now until we hear everything, but please come to the mic. State your name just for the...
Brad Goss.
Okay, thank you.
The question is, if you remove it as direct control, if you remove it as commercial district, and then in 5 years, there's a need by business that express a concern or wanting to be in that location, have you just lost the opportunity for more business to be located in that location based on it being designed as commercial originally, based on its location to collector streets, et cetera?
Okay, so that's, is that the question?
Yeah, that's my question.
Okay, and that may be asked by a member of council, which I expect it to be, as it's a great question, so if you just wait till everyone's been asked to speak. Are there any other members of the public who wish to make a presentation? For a second time, any other members of the public that wish to make a presentation? For a third and final time, are there any members of the public that wish to make a presentation on this? Hearing no other presenters, it's time for City Council to ask questions of the presenters. Councillor Dodek, to start.
Yes, I have a question of administration. In the report, it says instead of the parcel being rezoned to a conventional land use district from the land use bylaw, LUB, a new DC district is required, as the proposed development will utilize a reduction in parking requirements from those contained, excuse me, in the LUB. So if it was a traditional land use district, it would require 26 parking lots, 24 is for residents and 2 spaces for visitors. That's correct, I take it? Sorry.
Yep, that is correct.
Okay, I'm seeing the changes or using direct control to do, among other things, reducing the parking required as contained in the land use bylaw with respect to regularly zoned residential areas. And so my question is, when you send out your notice to the people that might be affected, what does the notice say? Does it say that there's going to be reduced parking from, say, from 26 down to 14?
Out to property owners within the vicinity includes the direct control bylaw. And so residents have the actual rules that are being proposed.
Okay, but there, and, because I notice in the ad in the Herald, nowhere is there mentioned that parking is being reduced significantly down to half.
That is correct. We also send out, one of the second letter we send out happens after the first reading, once the report you've just referenced is available. And so anyone interested in that information can seek it out.
So instead of being notified, they're notified where they can find information if they choose to do so.
Along with the bylaw that specifies the rules that are being introduced.
And you feel that's sufficient notification for someone who's a resident nearby to find out that the parking that normally would be required with the regular residential zoning has been cut in half?
That's the procedure we have for administration, and that's what is being followed today.
Okay. So if it was a regular residential district, if we had actually sort of said, okay, commercial is not working here, but let's do it like other areas in the city, how many units would be allowed based on the parking spaces that the zoning would require, if it was whatever the zoning would be for the units to, okay, I'm not phrasing that well. What I'm suggesting is 14 total parking spaces, I take it, would really mean that in a normal or a usual zoning situation would probably be 7 units versus 12 units or something in that order, 6 or 7.
That's correct, if the units have 2 bedrooms each.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, we're here. Thank you.
Yep, and that's also part of us, of administration, working with the applicant, and the applicant can likely speak to what that balance looks like as a developer.
I understand that, but I'm just trying to wrap my head around, like we're seeing this more and more often, is that we require the zoning to have 2 parking lots or 2 parking spaces per unit. And I'm seeing more and more, all of a sudden, what's happening is you're allowing the densification, which is fine, but you're creating a situation where parking might be an issue. And we've seen the parking problems around the cities to the extent that we now have to have the special parking permits for residences. That's the question I have is, does the planning department not see a difficulty in reducing the parking spaces required when you have land use bylaw zoning that would allow for 2 parking spaces per unit plus additional parking spaces for visitors? Is that not a concern?
We do work with the transportation department as part of infrastructure services, and they do advise on any concerns they have, and that was not one that was identified. We also work with applicants to ensure that their proposal provides flexibility where possible, and that's where we see direct control bylaws, and the applicant is here today to speak about that.
I understand that, but if there was an application to change the zoning to a zoning that would allow for the 7 parking spaces, that could have been done, but it wasn't, because the applicant wants 26 units, or sorry, 14 units. No, whatever that units, 12 units, geez, I'm looking at too many numbers.
There are other elements of the direct control bylaw that result in DC being a good option for this property. That includes specific aesthetic regulations and the requirement of pedestrian pathways.
You might not know the answer to this question, but how many DC districts do we have in Lethbridge?
You're right, I don't have the number for you today, but we can look into it.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Molesky, I think before I have you sit down, or yourself or somebody else, you heard the question from the speaker just previously about changing commercial resident. You heard the question that came. Could you give an answer or help understand that so that there's some comfort for that person that did have the question about regarding commercial, residential, and back or whatever?
Yes, so their question, from what I recall, is what happens when there's increased commercial demand and we're removing the opportunity to have commercial at this site today and changing it to residential. That is a reality of rezoning. The rezoning changes, and it removes the ability, if this rezoning is approved, it would remove the ability for it to be used as commercial in the future. This is a question the applicant can also speak to from the perspective of demand on commercial units.
And then also though, if that was the case, it could apply to have it in the future, somebody to have that changed back to commercial. Is that not correct?
That would be the only way to get permission to
So there's
get
still
commercial.
an avenue. Did that answer your question, sir? Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. Councilor Schmidt-Rempel.
Thank you very much. And just in follow-up to the mayor's question, Ms. Molesky, what business occupation uses would be permitted in this area with the rezoning?
So we would be removing the opportunity for this property to have any of the commercial uses that are currently allowed. But since we are moving to a residential development, the allowances for home occupations type A, B, and C, which have different standards in terms of how many staff, how many clients they can have, they would be part of the allowable uses. And it would be similar to any other residential unit in Lethbridge.
Okay, so while we're removing that commercial use, the home occupations of type A, B, and C would still be permitted there, as long as they get their business permits and all that other.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Schmidt-Rempel. Councilor Wolf.
Thank you. This may be to the applicant. Is that okay? So,
Are you, okay, yeah, the applicant is here from, yeah. Is that okay? Yeah, absolutely, sure.
so am I to understand correctly that you folks acquired this land with the intent of it being commercial? You knew it was commercial. The intent was to develop commercially, and just nobody has approached you commercially. So now it's like, oh shoot, now I want to do residential.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a good question. This parcel's gone back a few times. I believe that it was actually zoned multifamily years ago. The city didn't have a lot of traction on it. We purchased it as a bigger parcel. And we kind of looked at it at the time and tried to figure out the best use for it. So we identified that corner as possibly being a potential commercial site. We've had it listed now for about 3 years and have had no interest at all for anybody that wants to do anything remotely commercial on it. We've tried. At the same time, we have people knocking down our door to try and do residential, and it seems like a good fit. Well, our kind of vision was to extend what we've done currently on Sunridge Boulevard. So we were thinking about building 2 sixplexes, one that kind of faces each side of the street, so it kind of completes that corner, as opposed to one big building in there.
Thank you. Follow up. So I'm just looking at these pictures here. So I don't know. You can maybe see like you've got some existing buildings already, right? And these folks park on the street?
No, those all have the same, they're actually under this direct control bylaw as well, so they have a reduced parking component to that. And the back of those units are set up with parking.
Oh, the back, okay.
Yeah, and we're also right across the street from a park, so there's ample street parking on both sides of the street there. So it's kind of an ideal spot for.
So basically we're saying 14 on-site, overflow parking likely next to the park.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Doria.
Thank you, Chair. My question is directed to the administration. Correct me if I'm wrong, I heard that the application for DC was 2022, just recently, and then it was applied for type B for commercial. And then now, 3 years later, then we applied another new DC for residential. So my question is somewhat related to the question presented before. What if there is really a need in the next few years, like moving forward 5 years after, there were already residential houses there, then we applied again for commercial. Is it like possible for the city to consider, for your department to consider?
The process of working through a rezoning includes working with the applicant to respond to the market needs they see from their professional viewpoint and experience in Lethbridge. And so the rezoning applications reflect administration working with the applicant, realizing that commercial might have been more suitable, and now them, based on their experience, as you just heard from the applicant, now we're working with them so that they can meet the demand that they're seeing for residential development. And that would apply to the future. If part of this property is used for residential, another part could maybe come back for rezoning for commercial. But administration responds to the applicant initiative based on their experience with what their market is seeing in Lethbridge.
Okay, thank you. But Mayor, can I have one more follow-up question? I presume that this was like brought forward because there was a need of housing in the city. Maybe there is a need for more housing, residential needs in that area. So again, in the next few years when there will be like, that area will be in need of commercial site, then your consideration will, you have to follow again on the needs that the applicants presented, like their studies behind why you are applying for this kind of zoning.
Yes, that's correct. We can go through this process again with them. We do have the municipal development plan and other statutory documents that give us an overall vision, but those are visionary documents that are implemented at this development stage, and things can change, and this is the city's way of staying receptive to market needs in the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, I'll now call the public hearing closed. This matter will be decided right now. All right. I have a motion by Councillor Wolf. Is that all right? Yes. All right. Bylaw 6509, Land Use Bylaw Amendment regarding 110 Sunridge Road West for a second reading. Be it resolved that Bylaw 6509, Land Use Bylaw Amendment regarding 110 Sunridge Road West be given second reading. Councillor Wolf. And I do have questions or debate?
Open for questions?
Yeah. Okay, debate. So to open debate, anything to open or you'll close? Okay, Councillor Dodick.
Yes, I will not be supporting this. Shouldn't come as a surprise. It's quite clear that this city is addicted to direct control. You know, we used to have zoning that had parking, 2 parking spaces required for multifamily residential, and now we're just going, okay, we're just going to do whatever the developer wants. You know, 1 parking spot is enough. And I suspect that the reason they had 2 parking spaces as a requirement previously was to ensure that there was plenty of parking available for everyone. We're now in a city where there isn't plenty of parking available for everyone because we keep doing this. There is, it would have been easy for the developer to have brought application to change the zoning to an existing zoning rather than using direct control, but it would have limited him to 6 or 7 units. The fact that he was not able to, or they weren't able to market as a commercial unit or parcel doesn't mean that it's our job to make it more marketable by having 12 units versus the 6 or 7 that a regular zoning would allow, which is in effect what we're doing by doing direct control district changes such as this. You can say, well, it's going to provide more housing, that sort of thing, but it becomes interesting because in the previous public hearing, we reduced the number of housing that we had. So I end by saying we have to stop being addicted to direct control. It seems like such a nice thing to do. And, you know, I mean, the applicants are nice folks and they're, you know, good citizens of the community and things like that. But I am opposed to direct control in situations like this. And I will not be voting in favor.
Right. Councillor Wolf, I see. Oh, wait a minute. Councillor Bieber.
I also had concerns about the parking. So I probably walked by there with my dog about 7 or 8 times in the last 2 weeks at 5 in the morning. And I do get the concerns about parking, but except for a little bit on the north end of Mount Sunburst Way, where those other condos are, where there tends to be, especially on weekends, a little extra parking. there does seem to be quite a bit of parking, especially behind the Circle K and everything. And so
Yes. Oh,
The order that Councillor Beaver is now talking about experience that he had in a public hearing that wasn't available to the rest of council. And I would ask the legal, based on that, do we have a problem?
Council should only consider land use considerations in the public hearing. If the information that the councillor referred to is new information to anybody, then that could create a problem in the public hearing. That problem could be solved by re-advertising and having another public hearing if you want.
oh, go ahead.
See, my concern was that he was starting to stray into saying, from my personal experience, by walking by that area, parking seems to be not a problem. That, in my view, does potentially create a problem.
Do you have a question? Could you repeat it?
Does it create a problem?
Only if there's a challenge, but we typically in public hearings have a lot of not purely relevant information discussed. So it's a risk assessment the council will have to make if you want to re-advertise and have a new hearing. So it's a problem if council chooses to make it a problem.
I'll look to my colleagues. In light of what you've heard from Councillor Bieber, not going to change. Is anybody concerned? Councillor Dodick, are you concerned?
I raised the issue.
Raise it? No, appreciate that. All right. Again, I think I'm just going to go back quickly to what we'd heard with some of the orientation. If we can stay to the topic, Councillor Bieber, of what the zoning is. And I can appreciate that you get out and walk your dog because I'm jealous because I don't walk mine as much as you do. But if we can keep it to the issue at hand, if we can, the zoning part of it. The material that's presented, yeah. Right.
Well, I was just trying to make an observation about what I've seen regarding the space. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Is that everything?
That's it.
All right. Councillor Crowson.
Thank you. I will be voting for this. I recognize the concerns around DC, but DC is a result of an old, out-of-date land use bylaw. We have a 40-year-old bylaw, which we are in the process of updating, and we'll solve our addiction problem as soon as we get our updated land use bylaw. So that problem is, this is something we're doing to fix something that should have been fixed long ago, but the land use bylaw is coming in. As the applicant noted, there is parking with the park there, so I have no concerns with the parking, and more parking increases the cost of housing. I have no problems with that, so I will be supporting this. I mean, I do have a problem with increasing the cost of housing, which is why I have no problem with the parking.
All right, Councillor Schmidt-Rempel.
Thank you very much. I'm not a huge fan of direct control, but it's the best we've got right now. I look forward to solving our direct control addiction, as Councillor Crowson says, as we move through the land use renewal project. But because it is the best alternative we have right now, I will be supporting this.
Councillor Campbell.
I just have sympathy for someone who was trying to create a better city, wanted to create some businesses. Turns out that wasn't the place that they could create businesses, so he pivoted, which is admirable, and pivoted to something that we need in the city. So I will certainly be supporting the resolution.
I see no further speakers, so to Councillor Wolf.
I call the question.
Question is called on a second reading. All in favor? And those opposed? All right, 8-1. All right, and for a third reading, be it resolved that bylaw 6509, land use bylaw amendment regarding 110 Sunridge Road West, be given third reading and the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign and seal the same. Councillor Wolf.
Call the question.
Question been called. All in favor? And those opposed? All right, it's 8-1. That passes. Thank you. And I call to order the public hearing for bylaw 6513, land use bylaw amendment 915 15th Street South. The procedure for this hearing will be, I'll begin by calling on Ms. Molesky, community planner, to provide background to the case. Anyone else who wishes to speak to the bylaw will then be called upon. We'll ask 3 times if there's anyone else who wishes to make a presentation. City Council will then have the opportunity to question any of the presenters, and then the hearing will be closed. Consideration of second and third reading will be made immediately following the public hearing. I now call on Genesis Molesky to provide the background to the case.
Thank you. Bylaw 6513 is a proposed land use bylaw amendment for the property at 915 15th Street South. The applicant of this proposal is FWBA Architects. The purpose of this application is to introduce new commercial uses to increase the utility of an existing vacant commercial unit. This achieved by replacing the existing direct control bylaw with a new set of direct control rules. The property in question is located in the Victoria Park neighborhood. The air photograph shows the building footprints of the property in question and the surrounding properties as well. The site is surrounded by large-scale buildings like St. Michael's Health Center across to the west, across 15th Street south to the west. Getting closer to the site, these 2 photographs show the front of the building, part of the side lane, and here you can all note the front parking, that it's on-street parking accessible directly in front of the building. This next site photograph shows the rear of the building. This shows the parking area that is currently used and will continue to be used as parking. Also note the scale of the building in question in comparison to surrounding properties. So the property to the south is an apartment building, and the property to the north is the commercial strip along 9th Avenue. This rear photograph also shows the parking and the side lane. These maps show a side-by-side comparison of the existing versus proposed zoning. This proposal introduces new rules under the DC designation. The site is surrounded by a range of zonings, including commercial, high density, as well as direct control bylaws that allow medical and supportive housing uses. Moving on to background information, the existing building was built in 1955 and was originally rezoned public building. This property was rezoned in 2010 to direct control to allow professional offices as a permitted use and religious assembly as a discretionary use. The existing building is currently used as a professional office, and the applicant is also the owner of this property. The purpose of the new direct control bylaw is to expand the types of businesses that can operate out of this location. The current direct control bylaw only allows 2 uses, professional office and religious assembly, whereas bylaw 6513 introduces the list of new uses here. The current allowable use, office and religious assembly, will continue to be allowed under this new bylaw, and the uses listed here are compatible at this location in terms of operational needs and nature of services they would bring into the community. Bylaw 6513 also regulates other development standards like building height and setbacks. These regulations aim to maintain the building scale and site design that exists today. The minimum parking requirement for the new set of uses and as part of the DC bylaw is 9 parking spaces. This development proposal was reviewed by city infrastructure staff and no servicing concerns were identified. The proposed rezoning is in line with the South Saskatchewan Regional Plan and the Municipal Development Plan, particularly with policies that relate to the efficient use of land, which allows the utilization of existing infrastructure. In terms of public notification and engagement, the applicant hosted an open house on November 4th, and property owners within 100 meters of the site were invited. 8 people were in attendance. The attendees expressed general support for the proposal to add new commercial uses as part of this direct control bylaw. Once the application was received, 2 direct mail-out letters were mailed to property owners within 60 meters of the site, as shown on this map. The letters included information about the proposal, as well as the information on how to participate at this public hearing. The same information was published in the Lethbridge Herald on December 20th and December 27th, and the same information was also published on the city's website. From this the notification efforts, I received 1 phone call from a neighboring property owner who was in support of the commercial uses. In conclusion, this proposal is in line with statutory plans like the SSRP and the MDP, and Planning and Design recommends that City Council consider this report and information for the public hearing for bylaw 6513. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Molesky. I now call on the applicant, Mr. Barrett, to make a presentation. Is he here to make a presentation? Or a designate, I guess? Okay, please, if you can just give your name and your record just for the record so we can have that. That'd be great.
I'm Teresa Yock with FWBA Architects.
And I'm David Cox with FWBA Architects.
Just to make sure you got that, Madam City Clerk. Okay.
And we just did. Oh, thank you.
All right, floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm just waiting for our. There we are. Perfect. Thank you. Good. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having us here today. Teresa and I, as we said, are both partners with FWBA Architects, and we're here also representing our ownership in our office building at 915 15th Street South. The requested rezoning within the DC zoning is to allow for expanded compatible uses of our property. We're looking at also renovating our office at the same time. Thank you. To allow FWBA to continue to practice within the space, as well as opening up a portion of our building for compatible uses on the north end of the property. The site has been home to FWBA Architects since 2010. We're a long-standing Lethbridge business, currently in our 98th year of operation in the city. Rezoning allows our business to continue to adapt to industry changes without a change in the building footprint, height, or the site density. And the proposed rezoning helps our business remain responsive and adaptive while enhancing availability of services in the community without significant change in the character of the neighborhood.
So the proposed DC allows a range of professional, service-oriented uses, including offices, personal services, and medical and health offices. These are complementary to the surrounding area, operate primarily during daytime hours, and do not generate late-night activity. While a medical tenant is preferred and one that we are actively speaking with, the DC provides flexibility without committing the site to a single use. You can see a reference photo here as to the medical use space that we're looking at providing in the north side of our building. Moving on to proposed site plan and parking. We understand parking is an important consideration. I'm looking at you, Councillor Dodick. We have observed how on-street parking along 15th Street South is used, and it functions as shared, short-duration parking throughout the day. It is not consistently at capacity, and turnover is high. On-site parking is clearly organized between the existing businesses and the future tenant, with improved barrier-free access. The type of uses permitted, particularly professional or medical offices, generate predictable, appointment-based parking demand, which spreads usage throughout the day rather than creating peak congestion. Okay. In conjunction with the rezoning, we are investing in site improvements including enhanced barrier-free access to the building, improved barrier-free parking at the rear, better organized waste, recycle, and organics areas screened from view. These improvements enhance accessibility, functionality, and the overall streetscape without altering the building's character.
And just finally, we have some renders to show of the proposed renovation to the space as far as opening up the north side for an additional use. The original building was dedicated as the first purpose-built synagogue in the city 70 years ago in 1956 and was designed by our firm at that time in the 50s. It's a remarkable example of early modern architecture in Lethbridge, and the history and the legacy of the building are very important to Teresa and I and the partnership within our firm, and something we want to make sure is maintained with the proposed renovations. The new entrance that's being proposed to be developed on the north side of the building is in keeping with the original character of the building, and we're only proposing very modest changes overall to the building character. But at the same time, as Teresa said, we're improving universal accessibility with fully accessible building from the street and improved barrier-free accessibility from the rear. Thank you.
Just one last comment that the proposed tenant that we are speaking with currently would be Medical Care Clinic. This clinic would house an OBGYN and a general practitioner.
Thank you. I'll now ask if there are any members of the public that wish to make a presentation on this. You have 5 minutes to make that presentation. For a second time, oh, sure, come forward, sir. Could you please come up to the mic as it's this is broadcast, just to make sure that we capture your name and your question. Thank you.
Brad Goss, how many parking spaces to the west of the building on 15th Street in front of St. Michael Center?
Okay, thank you. For a second time, is there any members of the public who wish to make a presentation? For a third and final time, are there any members of the public that wish to make a presentation on this matter? Seeing none, I'll ask City Council to ask their questions of the presenters. I wanted to start off with one, and for Ms. Molesky, if I could. As I go through, and again, this is the discomfort that, or heartburn, or whatever you want to call it, with direct control, as I've heard a few times from my colleague, is, so previously it was religious assembly, and although you put direct control, religious assembly still remains in that, not as a permitted use, but that's what it was prior, so that could still go back to religious use without any zoning change. Is that correct?
Thank you for the question. Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And not that it is, I've just, because I saw the permitted uses and it didn't have that in there, but that would be the reason, because it was there prior to doing direct control. And I see, actually, no, that answers the question for yourself. And now from the presenter, if I could, it says open to compatible uses. And so I think right now it's, and it could be open to any of those that are, of course, in the, what do you call it, discretionary uses. And so currently, the current space now is not being used, but would be for these particular uses that you've spoke to. Could be any of them, but you said you do have some ideas, not that they're solidified, and that's not why we're here to say, oh, good, you're gonna have an OBGYN, or oh, good, you're gonna have this, or not that, but just that's, the space is you feel that they fit within what has been in the permitted uses.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, we do still operate our practice out of the building. At the moment, we do occupy the entire building, but we're looking at moving our practice just to the south side. And when we say compatible uses, yeah, knowing that we're still going to be in the building with our business and want to be good members of the community, we are looking for tenants in that space that would be compatible with the neighborhood and with our own use of the building.
Okay, thank you. And my last question, if I could, for Ms. Molesky. Hearing the question from Mr., is it Boss? I'm sorry. Goss, I'm sorry, Mr. Goss. is the parking, has that been addressed?
He asked about how many parking spaces are on the west side of the building along 15th Street South. There are 8 regular parking spaces and 1 barrier-free spaces. However, they're on-street parking and they don't count towards the parking calculation or the parking requirement for the direct control bylaw.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Mr. Goss? But does it, that's only if it's part and parcel to this particular development. And unfortunately, I don't believe that that is, Ms. Molesky, is that correct? That would be separate. That's not about this particular application.
That's correct. He's
Okay.
asking about the west side of the street, not the east side of the
Yeah,
street.
and that's unfortunately it's not why we're here for this particular application. So thank you for your question. Moving to other questions, I don't see any others. So with that, hearing no other presenters and no other questions, I'll now call this public hearing closed, and we'll make a decision in just a couple minutes. All right, so Councillor Schmidt-Rempel, moved by bylaw 6513, Yandlus. Wow, okay, I'm sorry. Land use bylaw amendment regarding 915 15th Street South for a second reading. Be it resolved that bylaw 6513, land use bylaw amendment 915 15th Street South be given second reading. Councillor Schmidt-Rempel.
Thank you very much to the presenters for bringing the information forward. I see Councillor Dodek in for debate. Okay. Thank you very much for the presenters for bringing the information forward. We have another DC to DC. This adds some uses to this. The current business tenant is looking for compatible businesses to go along with this and have had support from within their neighborhood. So I would ask for my colleagues' support on this.
Councillor Dodek.
Generally, applications for direct control have quite an extensive change, going from one land use zoning to something totally different. So for example, the prior application went from a significant increase in number of units and a significant decrease in number of parking. This is a modest change from a DC to a DC, which I do not have problem with. So because of that, I will support it.
I too will support this as I heard, and I know that's not part of the application, but I like the idea of where this could go and the expansion of that particular area and some possible businesses. And so I appreciate the work that's being done, and I wish you the best, and I will support this. I see no others, and so to conclude, Councillor Schmidt-Rempel.
I will call for the vote.
Question been called. All in favor? That is unanimous. And for a third reading, be it resolved that bylaw 6513, land use bylaw amendment 915, 15th Street South be given third reading, and mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign and seal the same. Councillor Crows. I tell you what, this is a rough day. Councillor Schmidt-Rempel.
I'll call for the vote.
Question's been called. All in favor? And that too is unanimous. Thank you. All right. Okay, so I do have a resolution from Councillor Parker for closed motion, public member appointments to boards, commissions, and committees, 14.1. Be it resolved, the City Council appoint the following public members to the Lethbridge Police Commission for the following terms as outlined below, effective January 20th, 2026. Jen Visser, a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2028, a reappointment. Brett Carlson, a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2028, a reappointment. And Clement Aseni, a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2028, reappointment. Further be resolved, the City Council direct that the closed meeting discussions pertaining to the boards, commissions, and committees matter, verbal, remain confidential as per sections 20, harmful to personal privacy, section 22, confidential evaluations, and section 29, advice from officials of the Access to Information Act. Councillor Parker. Question been called. All in favor? And that is unanimous. And move on to a motion from myself. I guess I'd have read that one.
Item 14.3 from Mayor Higgin, infrastructure update out of the closed session. Be it resolved that City Council refer the confidential matters discussed in the closed session to administration and incorporate the confidential direction received in closed session to a report to be presented at the February 10th, 2026 meeting of City Council. And further be it resolved that City Council direct the closed session discussions pertaining to the infrastructure update verbal remains confidential as per Section 29, advice from officials of the Access of Information Act. Mayor Hagan.
I have nothing to add. Question?
Question's been called. All in favor? That carries.
All right, thank you. Well, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.